Good afternoon, kids. It's Robert, your friend from down the street. We're going to read a story today about the sword in the stone. And this is a byline. What do you think about this winter weather that may be upon us? Ooh, wow. Here we go. Once long ago, a young boy lived in a castle in England. The boy was an orphan, so he lived with Sir Ector and his son, who was named Kay. Kay spent all his time hunting, playing with his dogs, and relaxing in the sun. Because he was an orphan, the boy worked as a page and had many chores. Nobody called him by his proper name, which was Arthur. Everybody called him Walt. Walt scrubbed pots and pans, polished armor, and swept the castle stables. He even helped the castle carpenter. By evening, Walt was tired out, but he never complained. He always tried to do his best. One day when Walt was walking through the forest, he met an old man. "My name is Merlin," the man said. "I happen to be a wizard." Merlin said that he was going to be Walt's tutor. At the castle, Merlin told Sir Ector and Kay that he would be teaching Walt. Sir Ector and Kay laughed loudly. "You better pack up your bag of tricks and be gone," said Sir Ector. Merlin held up a magic wand and waved it in the air. Snow began to fall inside the great hall. Sir Ector changed his mind. He didn't understood why Walt needed lessons, but he did not want to question a wizard. He agreed that Merlin could teach Walt and even invited him to stay at the castle. The next day, a knight arrived at Sir Ector's castle. He brought news of a tournament that was to be held in London on New Year's Day. The winner would be crowned King of England. Sir Ector decided they would travel to London so Kay could compete. Sir Ector thought that his son would win. Walt would go too, but only to help Kay. Walt would be his squire. First, Kay had to train, and Walt had to have lessons. Merlin wanted to teach him math, science, and history. Soon, Merlin began Walt's first lesson. He led Walt down to the moat and cast a spell over him. Immediately, Walt began to shrink. He became smaller and smaller until he changed into a little fish. He quickly dove into the moat. Merlin changed into a fish too and followed Walt into the water. At first, Walt had great fun swimming. Then Walt swam around a corner and came face to face with a big, scary green fish. The fish tried to catch Walt and chased him around the moat. "Don't panic," called Merlin. "Use your head. Outsmart the big brute." Walt had an idea. He swam through a chain and the big fish followed him. It got stuck in one of the links. Once Walt had gotten out of trouble, Merlin turned them both back into humans. Walt had lessons with Merlin every day. One time, Merlin changed Walt into a squirrel. Jumping from branch to branch and meeting other animals taught Walt about the forces of nature. Another time, Merlin changed him into a bird. As a sparrow, Walt learned about flight. Then they met an evil sorceress. This taught Walt that knowledge was the greatest power, and it would help win any battle. With each lesson, Walt grew wiser, but he still didn't understand why he needed lessons. After all, he was just a page. That winter, Kay was finally knighted, and Sir Ector made Walt a squire. They prepared to travel to London for the tournament. They soon set off. Kay rode on a tall horse and wore shiny armor, but Walt had to ride a slow donkey. After many days, they finally arrived in London. The next day, the tournament began. There were many knights on the field. They all hoped to win the crown and become king. Sir Ector, Kay, and Walt watched the other knights. Kay would compete very soon. Wart helped Kay put on his armor and his shield. Suddenly, Wart realized he had left Kay's sword at the inn they'd stayed at the night before. Trumpets blared. The next round of the tournament was about to start. "You better get it, or don't you dare come back," Kay told Wart. Wart ran as fast as he could, but the inn was closed. Wart had to find a sword for Kay. Just then, he ran past a churchyard and saw a gleaming sword stuck in a marble stone. Wart quickly pulled out the sword and carried it back to the tournament field. "That's not my sword," Kay cried when he saw it. Then Sir Ector noticed that something was written on the sword. "Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is rightwise king born of all England," he read aloud. A crowd had gathered around Wart and the sword. When the noblemen heard those words, they stopped the tournament. This was the sword of legend, but Wart was just a young page. How could he have pulled out the sword? They all went to the churchyard. Wart put the sword back in the stone. "Anyone can pull it once it's been pulled," Kay said. He tried, but the sword wouldn't move. Then the nobleman called out to give Wart a chance. Shyly he approached the stone. With both hands he took hold of the sword handle and pulled. The sword came free. When the nobleman saw Wart remove the sword, they agreed that it was no mistake. "Long live the king!" the crowd cheered. But they wondered how young Wart could rule. After all, kings needed to be wise. Luckily, Merlin had known all along that Wart would become king. His lessons had been to prepare Wart to rule. Because of that, Wart was just as wise as any king. So Wart was crowned. He became a great ruler, known forever after as King Arthur. Thank you, kids. I hope you stay warm. And watch out for the winter weather. You may have some fun to play in the snow. Make a snowman. I'll see you soon. Bye.